What if I told you the most haunting sound to her isn't your voice, it's your absence, not your explanations, not your pain, just silence, pure, calculated silence. The kind of silence that doesn't come from weakness, but from absolute strength. You think she'll come back if you just explain one more time, text her one more time, pour your heart out one more time? Nope. That only feeds her ego. That only confirms what she already suspects, that she can walk away and you'll still be standing there, waiting. But what if you didn't? What if you disappeared from her world like she never existed? What if you stopped chasing, stopped reacting, and stopped bleeding energy into a void that never gave anything back? That's when it shifts. That's when the dynamic flips. Because in that silence, she hears everything. Every echo of what she lost. Every beat of the attention she once took for granted. Every reminder that you no longer care. You've stopped begging. You've stopped explaining. And that's when the haunting begins, for her, not you. The truth? Pain was never your enemy. It was your rebirth. It cracked you open, burned your illusions to ash, and now you rise colder, smarter, more dangerous. Stoicism is not numbness, it's control. It's the man who feels deeply, but reacts rarely. And that man? He's the one she remembers forever. Not because of what he said, but because of what he withheld. You're not here to play games. You're here to take your power back. Every second you waste chasing closure or understanding, you delay your evolution. So stop. Stop giving her front row seats to your suffering. Go ghost. Go silent. Become the mystery she can't solve, the scar she can't heal from. Because once you stop feeding her attention, she starts starving for it. If you're done being her emotional crutch, if you're ready to become the silence she can't ignore, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. She lost access to a rare soul. Now let's begin. Number 1. Pain is the catalyst. Every man remembers the exact moment it shattered, the shift in her tone, the cold stare, the silence that used to mean comfort, now screaming disinterest. Maybe it was a breakup text that didn't even deserve a reply. Maybe it was the slow fade, calls less frequent, affection drying up like it was never real. Whatever it was, it left you gutted. You didn't just lose a woman. You lost a version of yourself. And in that loss, you found pain. Real, raw pain. The kind that keeps you up at night. The kind that makes you question everything. Her, yourself, your worth. That pain? It's not a punishment. It's the beginning. Most men try to escape that feeling. They run straight into distractions, new women, endless scrolling, numbing habits, anything but facing the void she left behind. But that void? That's where the transformation begins, because pain is pressure, and pressure creates either collapse or diamonds. Stoicism teaches this. Nothing external should control the peace inside you, not her presence, not her absence, not even her betrayal. Pain is information. Pain is a messenger. And if you're brave enough to sit with it instead of drowning it, you'll understand what it's trying to show you. She didn't destroy you. She exposed you. Exposed your illusions, your blind spots, your neediness, the false sense of control you thought you had. You see, heartbreak isn't a glitch in the system. It is the system. It's life shaking you awake. Because the man you were when she left, that man couldn't handle what's coming next. So the universe burned him down, so someone stronger could rise in his place. You don't become untouchable by avoiding pain. You become untouchable by facing it, absorbing it, and turning it into your edge. She thought you'd crumble. She thought she broke you. But she only gave you the material you needed to evolve. And you will. Not to get her back, not to prove anything, but because the man you're becoming is too powerful to stay broken. Number 2. The power of complete silence. The most powerful thing you can do after she walks away is nothing. No chasing, no explaining, no "I miss you" texts at 2 a.m. Just silence, real silence. The kind that echoes, the kind that forces her to sit with her choices. Most men don't get this. They think if they say the right thing, she'll come back. If they just open up one more time, she'll finally understand. Nope. Every word you send after she's already disconnected makes you look smaller, makes her feel more powerful. She doesn't need another message. She needs distance, cold, deafening distance. You think silence is passive. It's not. It's pressure, emotional pressure that grows with every day you don't reach out, with every hour you don't validate her ego. See, most women expect the fallback. They expect the apology, the breakdown, the paragraphs. When you give her none of that, when you vanish without drama, you flip the script. Suddenly she has to wonder, why hasn't he called? Why is he so calm? Did he stop caring that fast? That mental loop becomes the beginning of regret. But silence isn't just about her. It's about you reclaiming control. Every text you don't send is a rep in the emotional gym. Every urge you ignore builds discipline. Silence is you putting yourself back in the driver's seat. It says, I'm not available to people who treat me like I'm optional. It says, I've stopped explaining my worth. If you couldn't see it, that's your loss. When you stop feeding her attention, you start feeding your own power. And maybe she doesn't come back. Good. That's not the goal. The goal is becoming the man who never had to beg in the first place. The man who's too grounded, too focused, too rare to be chasing ghosts. Because the second you go truly silent, she feels it. And the louder that silence gets, the more it haunts her. Number 3, starve her of your attention. Attention is currency, and every time you gave her yours, she spent it. Casually, recklessly, like it was unlimited. And for a while, it was. You showed up, you listened, you gave, you chased, you were always available. She never had to wonder, never had to wait. And that's exactly why she stopped valuing it. Because what's always available is never rare, and what's never rare is never respected. So now, you starve her, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Understand this, your attention is the most valuable thing you own. It's your focus, your time, your energy. It's what you build your empire with. And when you give that energy to someone who doesn't reciprocate it, you're robbing your future for the comfort of the past. Starving her of your attention doesn't mean acting cold. It means acting calculated. You stop watching her stories. You stop liking her posts. You stop checking her page like it holds the answers to your pain. You unplug. You disappear. Not because you're hiding, but because you've remembered who the hell you are. When you cut the supply, she feels it. Because women know when the attention dies. When the spotlight goes dark, the silence screams. And the louder it gets, the more she starts replaying the moments. Not the fights, not the breakup, but the absence, the lack of validation, the withdrawal of emotional resources she once took for granted. Now she wonders, why isn't he watching me anymore? Who has his attention now? Did he move on? That curiosity breeds discomfort, and discomfort breeds regret. But none of that is your focus anymore. You're not playing games, you're protecting your energy, because that attention, it now belongs to your growth, to your goals, to your discipline. You've cut off the emotional fuel line to her ego, and you're redirecting it into yourself. That's not manipulation, that's power. And the moment she realizes she can't feed off your attention anymore is the moment she starts starving for it. Number 4, emotional detachment is dominance. You don't win by out-loving her. You win by out-centering her. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you never cared. It means you've stopped giving your emotions to someone who mishandled them. The moment you stop reacting, truly stop reacting, you flip the entire dynamic, because now she can't predict you, she can't manipulate you, and she can't feed off the drama she used to control you with. That's what real dominance looks like. Not rage, not revenge, restraint. See, most people are addicted to reactions. They crave the emotional highs and lows because it tells them they still have power over you. But the Stoic man is different. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't explode. He doesn't chase. He feels everything, but responds to nothing unless it deserves his energy. That's what separates boys from men, and that's what haunts her more than anything, realizing that the man who once gave everything has gone emotionally cold. You might think being detached makes you heartless. Nope. It makes you formidable. You still feel the pain. You still remember the good times, but you've put all of that in its place. You're no longer making decisions based on hope or loneliness or nostalgia. You're making decisions based on logic, discipline, and self-respect. You've put her where she belongs, in the past. Not with hatred, not with bitterness, just distance. Cold, clean distance. She might try to provoke you. She might test you. She might reach out just to see if the leash still fits. But now, you don't bite. You don't break character. You don't give her what she expects. And that drives her insane. Because you've become unreadable, unshakable, unreachable. That's emotional dominance. That's the kind of power no one can take from you, because you don't need them to hold it. You hold it yourself. Number 5, rebuild in the shadows. The greatest transformation doesn't happen in public. It happens in silence, in solitude, in the shadows. After the heartbreak, most men seek visibility. They post more. They try to look unbothered. They want her to see how well they're doing. But that's ego, not growth. Real rebuilding is done off the radar. No validation, no announcements, just the daily grind of becoming untouchable. Because when you rebuild in silence, you don't just surprise her. You reinvent yourself for you, not for her. Disappearing isn't weakness, it's strategy. The world doesn't need to witness your evolution. She doesn't need to watch your glow up in real time. Let her wonder. Let her sit in silence, checking your page and finding nothing. No clues, no signals, no closure, just emptiness. Meanwhile, you're in the gym. You're reading, you're learning skills, you're stacking cash, you're healing. Quietly, ruthlessly, and with every day you go silent, you sharpen. She can't measure what she can't see, and that mystery, that's what haunts her more than any message ever could. You see, when you vanish, she expects you to come back the same, still emotional, still reactive, still trying to prove something, but you don't. You come back colder, calmer, better. You don't even want her anymore, and that's what breaks her. Because she thought she could pause your life. She thought she was the story, but she was just a chapter. And now you're writing a whole new book, without her name in it. Rebuilding in the shadows isn't just about revenge. It's about rebirth. It's about shedding the old skin, killing the old habits, and becoming the version of you that never has to beg again. The version of you that commands presence without noise. So let her sit in the last memory she has of you, while you evolve into someone she'll never recognize and never have access to again. Number 6. Attraction isn't chased. It's magnetized. You've been lied to. You were told that if you just love her harder, show her more, give everything, she'll stay. Nope. That kind of love doesn't attract. It repels. Why? Because what's freely thrown at someone who hasn't earned it loses all value. True attraction isn't created through pursuit. It's created through presence, through self-mastery, through a man who doesn't need anyone's attention to feel whole. That's what magnetizes, not the chase, but the pull. When you stop chasing her, something unexpected happens. She starts feeling the absence, and when she sees you calm, focused, unbothered, she begins to feel curiosity, then confusion, then discomfort. Because attraction doesn't live in comfort, it lives in uncertainty. And a man who is content without her is dangerous. He doesn't need to prove anything, he just is. He moves like someone who knows his worth and refuses to sell it cheap. Stoicism is attractive because it's rare. The average man is emotionally impulsive. He reacts, he overextends, he tries too hard. But the Stoic man holds the line. He doesn't perform, he doesn't flex. He just builds, quietly, relentlessly. And in that process, something magnetic forms. People start watching, they start wondering, especially her, because deep down, she remembers the version of you that used to orbit around her. But now, you've become the sun, and she's just another planet spinning in silence, hoping to feel your gravity again. But here's the key. You're no longer performing for her. You're not posting for attention. You're not moving with an audience in mind. You've gone internal. And ironically, that's what brings the attention. When you stop chasing it, when you stop caring if they notice, that's when everyone starts noticing. Because true attraction isn't loud. It's a quiet power that doesn't ask to be seen, but can't be ignored. Number 7. Your indifference is her mirror. She expected a reaction. She expected anger, sadness, desperation, something, anything. But when all she gets is your indifference, that's when the panic sets in. Because indifference is the one thing she can't spin. It doesn't validate her. It doesn't fuel her ego. It doesn't even confirm that you still care. It just exists, cold, quiet, unshakable. And that silence, that indifference, it reflects her. It forces her to confront what she did without the distraction of your emotions. Indifference is power, not because you don't feel, but because you've made peace with the outcome. You're no longer trying to fix it. You're no longer trying to be understood. You've closed the book. And now she's left staring at a man who used to break his back trying to make things right, and no longer moves. That kind of stillness, it's not passive, it's deliberate. It's the mark of a man who finally chose himself. And here's the truth most won't admit. Indifference is louder than hate. Hate still implies passion, still implies attachment. But indifference, that's the emotional death. That's the moment she realizes you're not waiting anymore, you're not watching, you're not hoping, you're gone. Not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And once she senses that absence, real absence, it rattles her. Because now the mirror's turned, and all she can see is herself. No more deflection, no more blame, just the echo of what she did, staring back in complete silence. And the man she once thought would always be there? He's not angry, he's not hurt, he's just gone. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. Number 8. Her games only work if you play. Manipulation thrives on participation. Emotional games only work when you respond, when you engage, when you care enough to react. The silent treatment, jealousy traps, breadcrumb texts, the accidental likes on your profile. These are all hooks she's testing. Not for love, not for connection, but for control. And every time you take the bait, you give her what she really wants. Proof that you're still invested, that she still owns space in your mind, that she still has power. But here's where you separate yourself. You don't play. You see the game and you refuse to sit at the table, because when a man has emotional discipline, the bait doesn't tempt him. He sees the patterns, he understands the manipulation, and instead of reacting, he detaches, quietly, fully. That's what breaks the game, removing your energy from the equation. She sends a flirty message out of nowhere. You don't answer. She posts a thirst trap. You don't look. She brings up memories to trigger nostalgia. You don't bite. Not because you're bitter, but because you're done. The Stoic doesn't engage in drama because drama is noise, and noise disrupts clarity, and clarity is what you have now. You know what she's doing, you know why, and you're not here for ego battles or mind games. You're here for peace, for purpose, for power, and she can't manipulate a man who's built his identity outside of her validation. So let her play alone. Let her wonder why nothing works on you anymore, why the old buttons don't press, why the old tricks fall flat. That frustration she feels, that confusion, that's your silence doing its job, because when you remove yourself from the game entirely, the player has no opponent, just a mirror. And that mirror, it's unforgiving. Number 9. Let her regret echo in your absence. Regret doesn't hit during the argument. It doesn't hit when she's walking out the door. It hits after, in the quiet, in the silence. When the reality sets in that you're not coming back, not texting, not watching, not waiting, that's when it begins to haunt her. Not because you forced it, but because you left nothing behind. No closure, no energy, no trace of the man who used to pour himself out just to be enough. That void you left, it becomes a mirror. And what she sees in that mirror is the cost of her decisions. But here's the part most men never understand. Regret takes time. You can't rush it. You can't fake it. You have to let her sit in that empty space day after day, wondering if she made the biggest mistake of her life. And the more you elevate, the more you evolve, the louder that regret becomes. Every post she sees of you doing better, every silence she meets when she reaches out, every second she realizes you're no longer available to her, it eats away at her. You're not punishing her, you're just absent, fully, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. She doesn't get to orbit your life anymore. No updates, no access, just the haunting memory of what she once had and can never reach again. And maybe she'll never admit it. Maybe she'll keep pretending like she's fine. But behind that mask, the regret grows. Because women don't miss the guy who begged. They miss the guy who walked away with dignity, rebuilt without drama, and never looked back. That's what your absence becomes. Not just silence, but a mirror she has to face every single day. And when there's nothing left to distract her, nothing left to pull from you, her only company is the echo of her own mistake. And that echo, that's your closure. Number 10. Become unreachable, not just unbothered. Being unbothered is temporary, it's surface level. It's pretending not to care while still checking your phone, still watching her updates, still hoping she sees your growth. But being unreachable, that's a different frequency. That's when she couldn't access you again even if she tried. Not because you blocked her, but because you outgrew her. Because you moved so far beyond who you were that the version of you she knew no longer exists. And that distance, that's what breaks her spirit. Unreachable means you've done the work. You didn't just act detached, you became detached. Fully. You've filled your time with purpose, not distractions. You've stopped defining yourself by her opinion. You're building things, creating, winning. And the higher you climb, the smaller she becomes in the rear view. You no longer need her validation, her attention, her presence. You've built a life where her absence is not just tolerated, it's preferred. The ultimate revenge isn't success, it's evolution. And the irony, the more you stop caring, the more she starts. Because now she doesn't have access to your energy, your mind, your world. You're untouchable, not out of spite, but out of discipline. You chose your future over your past. You chose peace over chaos. And in that choice, you became a man who doesn't just move on, he elevates. She might reach out. She might test the waters. She might even apologize. But you've crossed a threshold. There's no going back, not because you hate her, but because you love yourself more than the version of you that once tolerated breadcrumbs. You're not just healed, you're transformed, and now, the man she once thought was hers is a ghost, not bitter, not broken, just gone. And that haunts her forever. If you've ever begged for closure, if you've ever lost yourself trying to prove your worth to someone who didn't see it, this is your wake-up call. You don't need her validation, you don't need her attention, you need you. And the moment you choose silence, discipline and purpose over chasing ghosts, everything changes. This is the path of the Stoic: cold clarity, relentless self-respect, emotional scarcity that speaks louder than words ever could.